Aaliyah Jones was 7 years old when she decided to ask a complete stranger to be her father. Not forever. Just for one day. She knew it was crazy. Her mom would definitely say it was dangerous. Miss Sarah at school would probably call it inappropriate. But Aaliyah was desperate, and desperate people do brave things. If you're ready to hear how one question, asked by one little girl, changed 3 lives forever, then subscribe to this channel right now. Trust me, you won't regret it. Now let's find out what happened when Aaliyah made the craziest, bravest decision of her life. The announcement had come that morning during circle time. Miss Sarah clapped her hands together with way too much energy for 8 in the morning. Good news, wonderful students. On next Friday is our annual Father's Day celebration. Aaliyah felt her stomach drop like she'd swallowed a rock. We'll have games, activities, and a special lunch, Miss Sarah continued, writing the date on the board in big letters. Make sure to invite your father or a father figure, grandfathers, uncles, family friends, anyone special to you. Hands shot up around the room. Kids started talking excitedly about their dads coming. Aaliyah slid down in her seat, trying to become invisible. Maybe if she was small enough, nobody would notice her. My dad's taking off work, Jenny announced loudly from across the circle. He's a CEO, so it's a really big deal that he's coming. Of course Jenny's dad was coming. Jenny's dad came to everything. Jenny had a dad and a mom, and probably a perfect family that ate dinner together every night and never argued about money. That's wonderful, Jenny, Miss Sarah said. Remember, everyone, it doesn't have to be your biological father. The point is celebrating the important men in our lives. Min Jun, the quiet boy who sat next to Aaliyah and sometimes shared his snacks, leaned over. Is your mom coming again? Aaliyah nodded, not trusting her voice to work properly. Last year had been awful. All the other kids had their dads or uncles or grandfathers, big men in nice clothes who threw kids in the air and laughed loud and won all the relay races. Aaliyah's mom had come in her teaching clothes, tired from working late the night before. She tried so hard, played all the games, cheered the loudest, held Aaliyah close during the father-daughter dance, while Aaliyah pretended not to hear the whispers. Where's her dad? Doesn't she have a dad? Why is only her mom here? That's so weird. After school, Aaliyah dragged her feet the whole walk home. Her mom noticed immediately because moms always notice everything. Rough day, baby? They announced the Father's Day thing. Aaliyah kicked a small rock and watched it skitter across the sidewalk. Her mom, Brooke, stopped walking. Oh, that one word carried so much weight. Sadness and guilt and frustration all mixed together. I don't want to go this year, Aaliyah said, still looking at the ground. I don't want you to come either. I'm sorry, Mommy, but I can't do it again. Aaliyah, honey. Everyone laughs at me. The words came out faster now, like a dam breaking. Everyone asks where my dad is. Everyone feels sorry for me, and I hate it. I hate feeling different. I hate being the only one. I just want one day, one stupid day, where I'm normal like everyone else. Right there on the busy Seoul sidewalk, with people rushing past, and car horns honking, and the world moving around them, Aaliyah started crying. Not quiet tears either. Big, gulping sobs that shook her whole body. Brooke knelt down right there on the concrete and pulled her daughter into a tight hug. I know, baby. I'm so sorry. I know. Why didn't he want me, Mommy? Aaliyah's voice came out small and broken. My dad? What's wrong with me that he didn't want me? Those words stabbed Brooke right in the heart. Nothing is wrong with you, you hear me? Nothing. There is nothing wrong with you. He's the one who messed up. He's the one missing out on knowing the most amazing little girl in the world. But words couldn't fix this kind of hurt. Brooke knew because she felt it too. The rejection, the weight of doing everything alone when there should be two parents, the guilt of not being able to give Aaliyah what every other kid seemed to have so easily. That night, after Aaliyah finally cried herself to sleep, Brooke sat at their tiny kitchen table and looked at old messages on her phone. Messages from Aaliyah's father from years ago. "I'm not ready for this. This isn't my problem. Lose my number." Then nothing. Blocked. Gone. Like his daughter didn't exist. Brooke deleted the messages for the 100th time, knowing they were burned into her memory anyway. She made herself a promise. She'd find a way to make Father's Day special. Somehow, even if she had no idea how. Meanwhile, across Seoul, in a part of the city where everything cost too much and everyone had secrets, Juwan was having a very different kind of evening. The man across from him was sweating so much his shirt had dark patches under the arms. His hands shook as he tried to explain why he didn't have the money he owed. "Mr. Kwon, please, just one more week. I promise I'll have it. My daughter, she got sick. I had to pay for medicine." Juwan held up one hand. The man stopped talking immediately. "Mr. Park," Juwan said quietly, and somehow his quiet voice was scarier than if he'd yelled. "Do you know why people respect me?" The man shook his head. "Because when I say something, I mean it. When I give a deadline, it matters. I gave you 3 months. You've had your time. But my daughter, that's not my concern." Juwan stood up, buttoning his jacket with careful, precise movements. He nodded to the large man standing by the door. "Take what he owns. The car, the watch, everything. We're done here." Mr. Park started crying, but Juwan was already walking out. Another problem handled. Another day in a life built from nothing after the orphanage threw him out at 18, with nowhere to go and nobody who cared. He'd built an empire from that nothing. Built it with intelligence and ruthlessness and careful strategy. People feared him. People respected him. People paid him what they owed or faced consequences. This was his world. Cold, controlled, profitable. He liked it that way. Or at least, he'd convinced himself he did. Now, before this story takes a turn nobody saw coming, especially not Juwan, I need you to do something for me. Hit that subscribe button right now. Because what happens when a desperate 7-year-old meets a dangerous man is going to surprise you. Trust me, you're going to want to see where this goes. 3 days before the Father's Day event, everything changed. Juwan sat in the principal's office at Myeongsung International School, the same school he'd attended years ago on a scholarship for orphans. He was there to make a donation. 500 million won. Enough to build a new library and fund scholarships for kids like he used to be. Principal Kim wouldn't stop talking, thanking him, praising him, going on and on about legacy and inspiration and giving back. Juwan nodded politely while his mind was already on his next meeting. "And we'd be so honored if you'd attend our Father's Day celebration next Friday as a special guest," Principal Kim said, sliding a fancy invitation across the desk. Juwan glanced at it. "I'll have to check my schedule." Just for an hour, the children would be so inspired to meet you, a scholarship student who became so successful. If only he knew what kind of success he was praising. Juwan took the invitation just to end the conversation. "I'll see what I can do." He left the building and stood by his car, waiting for his assistant Minseo, who'd run back inside for something he forgot. The afternoon sun felt warm. Students were leaving school, their voices and laughter filling the air. Juwan checked his phone, scrolling through messages about shipments and territories, and problems that needed handling. Business as usual. He didn't notice the little girl walking toward him until she spoke. "Excuse me, mister?" Juwan looked down, surprised. A small girl with brown skin and her hair in 2 puffballs stood there, looking up at him with the biggest, most serious eyes he'd ever seen. She was tiny, maybe 7 years old, wearing a school uniform with her backpack almost as big as she was. Yes? He wasn't used to children approaching him. Actually, he wasn't used to anyone approaching him unless they wanted something or owed him money. The little girl took a deep breath, like she was gathering every bit of courage she had. "Are you married?" Juwan blinked. Of all the things he expected her to say, that wasn't it. "On what?" "Are you married?" she repeated, like this was a perfectly normal question to ask a stranger. "No." "Why are you asking me this?" "Do you have any kids?" "No." "Where are your parents?" "My mom's at work. She picks me up at 4. The girl looked him up and down, like she was evaluating him for a job interview. "Could you pretend to be my daddy? Just for one day?" The world seemed to stop. Juwan just stared at her, certain he'd heard wrong. "You want me to what?" The words came out faster now, tumbling over each other like she was afraid he'd walk away before she finished. "There's this Father's Day thing at school next Friday. Everyone brings their dad or their uncle or somebody. I only have my mom and she's amazing, but she's not a dad, and everyone makes fun of me, and I just want one day where I'm normal like everyone else. Please. You're asking a complete stranger to pretend to be your father." Juwan couldn't believe this conversation was happening. "You look nice. You're dressed nice. You have a good car." She pointed at his Genesis like that proved something. "You look like the kind of dad they show on TV, and you're here at my school, so you're probably not dangerous or anything. That's not how dangerous people work. So does that mean you'll do it?" She had him there. Juwan ran a hand over his face. This was insane. Completely insane. He should walk away right now. Get in his car and forget this conversation ever happened. But something stopped him. Something in the girl's face. The hope mixed with fear. The incredible bravery it must have taken to walk up to a stranger and ask for something like this. He remembered being young, remembered wanting things other kids had. Parents, family, someone to show up for school events and birthday parties, and all the normal things that felt impossible when you grew up in an orphanage. "What's your name?" he heard himself ask. The girl's face lit up like he'd already said yes. "Aaliyah. Aaliyah Jones." "I'm Juwan." He paused, knowing he was about to make either the best or worst decision of his life. "And I can't just agree to something like this without talking to your mother first, Aaliyah." Her face fell. "She'll say no. My mom doesn't trust people easily. That makes her a smart woman. But you seem nice. Come on, you haven't been mean or weird or anything. I'm still a stranger. You don't feel like a stranger." Aaliyah said it so simply, so certainly, like she just knew things about people. Juwan pulled out his phone, already regretting this. "Give me your mother's phone number. I'll call her and explain that I'm not a creep." "That's exactly what a creep would have to say, though," Aaliyah pointed out. Despite everything, Juwan almost smiled. "You're right, but I'm going to try anyway." Aaliyah rattled off her mother's number. Juwan saved it in his phone, still not quite believing what he was doing. "I'm not promising anything," he said firmly. "I know. But you're thinking about it, right? That's more than anyone else has given me." "Why did you pick me? There are lots of people here." Aaliyah thought about it. "You have kind eyes. Sad eyes, but kind. Like you know what it feels like to want something you can't have." The observation hit him harder than it should have. This little girl had just seen straight through him in 30 seconds. "I need to go," he said, suddenly uncomfortable. "If I'm going to do this, and that's a big if, I'll call your mother." "Okay." Aaliyah started backing away, still smiling. "Her name is Brooke. She's really pretty and really nice. She might be a little mad at first, maybe a lot mad. But she wants me to be happy more than anything." Then she turned and ran toward the after-school program building, her backpack bouncing with every step. Juwan stood there staring at his phone, at the contact saved as Aaliyah's mom. Mincio appeared at his elbow, making him jump. Boss, who is that child? I have no idea. Juwan looked at the school, then at his phone, then back at the school. Absolutely no idea. But as he drove away, he couldn't stop thinking about brave little Aaliyah, who asked strangers for help because she just wanted one normal day. He couldn't stop thinking about her sad eyes that somehow saw his sad eyes too. And he couldn't stop wondering what he was going to say when he called her mother. Because for the first time in 15 years, Juwan had been asked to do something that had nothing to do with money or power or fear. He'd been asked to show up, to be kind, to give a lonely kid one good day. And somehow, that felt more dangerous than anything he'd ever done. That evening, Brooke was making dinner, barely paying attention to the rice as she stirred it, and her mind kept going back to Aaliyah's tear-streaked face, her baby girl thinking something was wrong with her just because her father was a coward. Her phone rang, unknown number, probably spam. She answered anyway. Hello? Hello. Is this Brooke Jones? A man's voice, deep, speaking Korean with a Seoul accent. Yes, who's this? My name is Juwan. I met your daughter this afternoon outside Myeong-sung International School. Brooke's blood went cold. She put down the spoon. You what? She approached me. I want to make that clear. I didn't approach her. Why are you calling me? Where's my daughter? What did you do? Brooke was already grabbing her keys. She's fine. She's at school. I'm calling because she asked me something, and I told her I needed to speak with you first. What could my 7-year-old possibly ask a grown man that requires a phone call? There was a pause. She asked me to pretend to be her father for a school event. Brooke stopped moving. She what? The Father's Day celebration. She said she needed someone to come with her, and she asked if I would do it. A million feelings hit Brooke at once. Embarrassment that her daughter had asked a stranger. Anger that Aaliyah had been that desperate. Sadness that it had come to this. Fear that this man might be dangerous. Mister, I don't know who you are. Juwan. I own several businesses in Seoul. I was at the school making a donation. Your daughter saw me by my car and decided I looked, and I quote, like the dads on TV. Despite everything, Brooke almost laughed. That sounded exactly like something Aaliyah would say. Mr. Kwan, I appreciate you calling, instead of just showing up or something worse. But we don't need help from strangers. My daughter will be fine. Will she? Excuse me. I'm not trying to overstep. But the look on that little girl's face when she asked me, that wasn't fine. That was desperation. Brooke felt tears burning in her eyes. You don't know anything about us. You're right. I don't. But I know what it's like to be a kid who wants something everyone else has. I grew up in an orphanage. I watched other kids get adopted, get families, get people who showed up for them. I know exactly how your daughter feels. Brooke sat down hard on her kitchen chair. Look, Juwan continued, his voice softer now. I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to meet me. Public place, somewhere you feel safe. Let me show you I'm not dangerous. Then you can decide. Why would you want to do this? What do you get out of it? Good question. Juwan had been asking himself the same thing. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe a chance to give a kid one good day. Maybe that makes up for some of the bad I've done. That answer was too honest to be a lie. There's a coffee shop on Samseong Street, the one next to the bookstore. Tomorrow at noon, Brooke heard herself saying. I'll be there. And Mr. Kwan, if this is some kind of game or trick, I have friends. Good friends. You understand? She didn't really have those kinds of friends, but he didn't need to know that. Understood. I'll see you tomorrow. Is that Miss Jones?" After he hung up, Brooke sat staring at her phone for a long time. Had she really just agreed to meet a strange man because her daughter asked him to play pretend father? This was crazy. Absolutely crazy. Aaliyah came home from after-school program bouncing with energy. Mommy, guess what?" "What, baby?" "I think I found us a dad for the Father's Day thing." Brooke looked at her daughter's hopeful face and felt her heart break and heal at the same time. "Yeah, baby. He called me. We're going to talk about it." Aaliyah screamed and jumped up and down. "Really? Really, really, really? But I'm not promising anything. We have to meet him first and make sure he's safe and nice." "He is, Mommy. I could tell. He has kind eyes." Brooke hoped her daughter's instincts were right. She also hoped she wasn't making the biggest mistake of her life. That night, Juwan sat in his penthouse apartment, looking out at the Seoul skyline. Min Seo had left hours ago after trying one more time to talk him out of this. "Boss, this is a bad idea. What if someone sees you? What if it gets complicated? What if—" "I'm not asking your permission," Juwan had said, ending the conversation. Now alone, he picked up the invitation to the Father's Day event. He thought about that little girl, Aaliyah, looking up at him with hope in her eyes. When was the last time someone had looked at him like that? Like he could be something good? He pulled up his background check on his laptop, the official one he used for legitimate business dealings. Clean record, successful businessman, philanthropist. Nothing that would scare a protective mother. The real file, the one that showed his actual business, his connections, the gray and black areas he operated in, that stayed locked away. One day, he told himself, he could be a normal person for one day. How hard could it be? Across the city, Brooke was doing her own research. She Googled Juwan and found plenty of results. Photos of him at charity events, articles about his business investments, mentions of his donations to schools and hospitals. He looked legitimate, respectable even. But there was something in some of the articles, careful word choices that made her pause. Controversial business practices. Private investor with diverse interests. Prefers to stay out of the spotlight. What did that mean? She looked at Aaliyah sleeping peacefully in her bed, curled up with her favorite stuffed elephant. Her baby girl who just wanted one normal day. Brooke made a decision. She'd meet this Juwan. She'd look him in the eye and figure out if he was genuine or dangerous. She'd trust her instincts, the same ones that had kept her and Aaliyah safe all these years. And if he seemed wrong in any way, she'd run and never look back. But if he seemed okay, if he really just wanted to help, maybe she'd let him. Maybe for once, Brooke could accept help. Maybe for once, someone else could step up. Maybe, just maybe, Aaliyah could have her one perfect day. The next morning came too fast. Brooke changed her outfit 3 times before settling on jeans and a nice blouse. Professional but not trying too hard. She was meeting a potential fake father for her daughter. What was the dress code for that? She left Aaliyah with her neighbor, Miss Park, an older Korean woman who sometimes babysat in exchange for English lessons. "You look nervous," Miss Park said, taking Aaliyah's hand. "I'm meeting someone. It's complicated." "Man, someone? It's not like that." Miss Park gave her a knowing look but didn't push. The coffee shop was moderately busy when Brooke arrived 10 minutes early. She picked a table by the window where she could see the street, ordered an Americano she didn't really want, and waited. At exactly noon, a black car pulled up outside. A man got out, tall, well-dressed in dark pants and a white shirt. He looked around, spotted the coffee shop, and headed inside. Brooke recognized him from the photos. Juwan. He was younger than she expected, maybe mid-30s. Handsome in a sharp way, felt more like he didn't smile much. He scanned the shop and his eyes landed on her. She was the only black woman in the place, easy to spot. He walked over, Miss Jones. Mr. Kwan. She didn't stand up or offer her hand. Please sit. He sat across from her, moving with the kind of control that came from always being aware of his surroundings. Brooke studied him carefully. Expensive watch, but not flashy. Clean-shaven. Tired eyes. He looked like a businessman, successful and busy. He also looked like he could be dangerous if he wanted to be. "Thank you for meeting me," he said. "Thank you for calling first instead of just showing up. That earned you this conversation." A small smile touched his lips. "Your daughter said you don't trust people easily." "My daughter talks too much sometimes. She's brave. Walking up to a stranger like that. She's desperate. There's a difference." Brooke leaned forward. "Let's be clear about something, Mr. Kwan. I don't know you. I don't know why you really want to do this. But my daughter is everything to me. Everything. So before we go any further, I need you to be honest. Why are you really here?" Juwan met her eyes. He could lie, give her some sweet answer about helping children or giving back. But something about this woman's direct stare made him want to tell the truth. "I don't have a good answer," he said finally. "Your daughter asked me for something simple. One day of pretending. And I haven't had anyone ask me for something innocent in a very long time. Everyone wants money or favors or protection. She just wanted someone to show up. I can do that. What do you do for a living? And I want the real answer." "I invest in businesses, import, export, real estate, some technology ventures. All true, just not complete. Are you a good person, Mr. Kwan?" Now that was a question. Juwan thought about the things he'd done, the choices he'd made, the gray areas he lived in. "I'm not a bad person," he said carefully. "I've done things I'm not proud of, but I've never hurt anyone who didn't deserve it. I don't hurt children. Ever." Brooke watched his face as he spoke. She'd gotten good at reading people. Had to be as a foreign woman living alone in Korea. This man was hiding things. She could tell. But he also seemed genuine about this, about wanting to help Aaliyah. "If we do this, and I mean if, there are rules," she said. "Of course. You meet us in public places only before the event. And you're never alone with her. After the Father's Day thing is over, you disappear from our lives completely. No contact, no showing up, nothing." Each rule felt like a knife, but Juwan nodded. Agreed. "No expensive gifts, no money. This isn't about that. Understood. And if at any point I feel uncomfortable or Aaliyah seems upset, this ends immediately. I wouldn't want it any other way." Brooke sat back, studying him one more time. Her instinct said he was telling the truth, or at least his version of it. Her heart said Aaliyah deserved this chance to be happy. Her brain said this was completely insane. "Okay," she heard herself say. "We can try this." Juwan's expression shifted. Surprise and something else. Relief, maybe. "Really? One day, that's it. You show up for the Father's Day event, play the part, and then you're gone. Can you do that?" "Yes." "Then I guess we have an agreement, Mr. Kwan. Call me Juwan. Let's not get too familiar. This is a business arrangement. A business arrangement to fake a family relationship." "Right." Juwan almost smiled. "When should I meet Aaliyah officially?" "Tomorrow. There's a park near our apartment. We'll meet there at 3. They exchanged a few more details, set up the time and place clearly, and then Brooke stood to leave. "Miss Jones," Juwan said as she turned to go. "For what it's worth, you're doing an amazing job with her. Aaliyah is bright and brave and kind. That doesn't happen by accident." Brooke felt unexpected tears threatening. "Thank you," she managed, then left quickly before he could see her cry. Outside, she leaned against the wall and took deep breaths. And she'd just agreed to let a stranger pretend to be her daughter's father. Either this was the best decision she'd ever made, or she'd regret it forever. Only one way to find out. Telling Aaliyah was harder than Brooke expected. Her daughter had built this up so much in her mind that Brooke worried reality couldn't match it. So he said yes? Aaliyah asked for the 5th time, bouncing on the couch. He said yes. But baby, listen to me. This is just pretend, just for the one day at school. Then he goes back to his life, and we go back to ours. Do you understand? Aaliyah nodded, but Brooke could see she wasn't really hearing it. In her daughter's mind, this was already a fairy tale coming true. What if I don't like him when I meet him? Aaliyah asked suddenly. Then we call the whole thing off and I'll come to the event with you like always. But what if the kids make fun of me again? Brooke pulled Aaliyah onto her lap. Baby, those kids don't matter. Their opinions don't matter. You are perfect and wonderful, and if they can't see that, that's their problem, not yours. I just want one day where I fit in, Mommy. Just one. I know, sweetheart. I know. The next afternoon, Brooke and Aaliyah walked to Olympic Park. It was a warm spring day, the kind where Seoul felt almost magical with cherry blossoms starting to bloom and families everywhere enjoying the weather. Juwan was already there, sitting on a bench near the playground. He wore jeans and a simple black shirt, trying to look casual. He still looked too put together somehow, like casual took effort for him. Is that him? Aaliyah whispered, suddenly shy. That's him. You sure you want to do this? Aaliyah took a deep breath and nodded. Then she grabbed Brooke's hand, and they walked over together. Juwan stood when he saw them coming. Up close, Brooke noticed things she'd missed at the coffee shop. A small scar above his left eyebrow. The way he held himself ready, like he expected trouble. The careful way he looked at Aaliyah, like she might break. Hi, Mr. Juwan, Aaliyah said, still holding tight to Brooke's hand. Hello, Aaliyah. It's nice to see you again. You remember me? Hard to forget someone who asks a stranger to be their pretend father, Juwan said, and there was warmth in his voice that surprised Brooke. Aaliyah giggled. I guess that was pretty weird, huh? A little weird. Also very brave. They stood there awkwardly for a moment. Brooke had no idea how to navigate this situation. What was the protocol for introducing your daughter to her fake father? Why don't we walk? Juwan suggested. Aaliyah, your mom tells me you go to Myeongsung International. Do you like it there? And just like that, the ice broke. Aaliyah started talking about school, her favorite subjects, her best friend Minjun, the mean girl Jenny. She talked about her teacher and the class pet hamster and how she wanted to learn taekwondo, but classes were expensive. Juwan listened, really listened. He asked follow-up questions and seemed genuinely interested in what a 7-year-old had to say. Brooke watched him carefully, looking for red flags, but saw only a man being kind to a child. They reached the playground, and Aaliyah looked at Brooke with pleading eyes. Go ahead, Brooke said. We'll be right here. Aaliyah ran off to the swings. Brooke and Juwan sat on a bench where they could watch her. She's great, Juwan said. Talks a lot. That's putting it mildly. Sometimes I think she uses up all the words in the world before bedtime. Must be hard, doing this alone. Brooke stiffened. We managed just fine. I didn't mean it as criticism, just an observation. They sat in silence for a moment, watching Aaliyah swing higher and higher, her laughter carrying across the playground. Can I ask you something? Brooke said. And I want the truth. Okay. Why do you really want to do this? I've been thinking about it and it doesn't make sense. Successful businessman taking time out of his day to play, pretend for a kid he doesn't know. What's really in it for you? Juwan was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was softer than before. When I was 9, the orphanage had a parents' day. They invited potential adoptive parents to come meet us kids. We all dressed up in our best clothes, which weren't very good, and we waited. I remember watching the other kids, the ones who still had hope. I'd stopped hoping by then. He paused. Brooke waited. This couple came. Young, nice-looking, wealthy. They walked past all of us, and I didn't even try to smile or wave like the other kids. But they stopped in front of me, asked me my name, talked to me for 20 minutes. I thought maybe this was it. They didn't choose you, Brooke said quietly. They didn't choose anyone. They were just there to look, to feel good about considering adoption. They left and never came back. But for those 20 minutes, I felt seen. Important. Like I mattered. Juwan looked at Aaliyah on the swings. Your daughter made me feel something I haven't felt in years. Like I could be good for someone. Even if it's just pretend. Even if it's just one day. Brooke felt her defenses cracking. This wasn't what she expected. She expected someone with an angle, a plan, something selfish. Not this raw honesty. I'm sorry that happened to you, she said. Long time ago. Juwan shrugged, but she could tell it still hurt. Point is, I get it. I get wanting to be normal for just a little while. And if I can give that to Aaliyah, maybe it makes up for something. Makes up for what? Juwan looked at her, and she saw something dark flash in his eyes. Let's just say I'm not perfect. Leave it at that. Before Brooke could push further, Aaliyah came running over, out of breath and grinning. Mr. Juwan, did you see how high I went? I did. Very impressive. Can you push me? Mommy pushes good, but you're taller, so you could push me even higher. Juwan looked at Brooke, asking permission without words. Okay, Brooke said, but not too high. We'll be careful, Juwan promised. Brooke watched them walk back to the swings together. Watched this dangerous-looking man carefully push her daughter. Listened to Aaliyah's delighted squeals. Saw the small smile on Juwan's face. What had she gotten them into? Across the park, they sitting in a parked car with tinted windows, two men watched through a camera with a long lens. You getting good shots? The driver asked. Yeah. The kid, the woman, and the boss all together. Looks real cozy. The man with the camera clicked through the photos. Seok Jin's gonna love this. Juwan's got a secret family. Who would have thought? Makes him human. Makes him weak. The camera clicked again. And weak is exactly what we need him to be. They didn't leave until Juwan, Brooke, and Aaliyah walked away from the park together, looking for all the world like a normal family, enjoying a spring afternoon. Over the next week, they met 3 more times. Each meeting felt a little less awkward than the last. At the second meeting, Aaliyah brought her school workbook to show Juwan her grades. All A's except for 1 B in math. Mom, math is stupid, Aaliyah declared. Math is useful, Juwan corrected. What are you stuck on? Word problems. I don't get them. Juwan looked at the worksheet. Okay, look at this one. If Sarah has 10 cookies and wants to share them equally with 4 friends, how many cookies does each person get? That's easy. 2 each. Right. So why is it hard when they write it in a story? Because they use too many words to say simple things. Juwan laughed. Actually laughed. Brooke looked up from her book in surprise. She hadn't heard him really laugh before. You're not wrong, he said. Here, I'll teach you a trick. He spent 20 minutes going through word problems with Aaliyah, breaking them down into simple steps. By the end, Aaliyah was solving them easily and beaming with pride. You're really good at this, Brooke said. You tutor on the side? No, but I'm good with numbers. Kind of have to be in my business. What exactly is your business again? Juwan's expression closed off slightly. Import, export. Moving products from one place to another. It wasn't a lie, but it wasn't the whole truth either. Brooke let it go for now, The third meeting, Aaliyah insisted on getting ice cream. They walked to a small shop near the park, and Aaliyah ordered chocolate with sprinkles. Juwan got vanilla. Brooke got strawberry. Vanilla is boring, Aaliyah informed Juwan seriously. Vanilla is classic. It's boring. What if I like boring? Then you need to live more. Aaliyah said it with such conviction that both adults laughed. They sat outside the shop, eating ice cream in the fading sunlight. A few people stared at them. The unusual grouping of a Korean man, a black woman, and a mixed child. Brooke was used to stares. Aaliyah barely noticed anymore, but Juwan noticed. He saw every look, every whisper. His jaw tightened. "Ignore them," Brooke said quietly. "They're rude. They're curious. We're used to it. You shouldn't have to be." Something about the anger in his voice, anger on their behalf, made Brooke's heart do a weird flip. She pushed the feeling away. This was temporary. He was temporary. "Mr. Juwan," Aaliyah said, chocolate smeared on her face. "At the Father's Day thing, there's gonna be games and stuff. Are you good at games?" "Depends on the game. Relay races and beanbag toss and tug of war. I can handle those. And there's a dance, a father-daughter dance." Aaliyah looked suddenly shy. "You have to hold hands and sway. It's what the dads do." Juwan swallowed hard. "I can do that. You won't be embarrassed to dance with me?" "Aaliyah, I would be honored to dance with you." The smile that broke across her face was so bright it hurt to look at. The fourth meeting was 2 days before the event. Aaliyah brought a list of things kids might ask. "Okay, so Jenny's definitely gonna ask what you do for work," Aaliyah said, reading from her notebook like a military strategist. "I invest in businesses." "What does that mean?" "I give people money to start companies. And if the companies do well, I make money too." "Oh, that's boring, but okay." Aaliyah checked her list. "They'll ask where you live." "Gangnam District." "Fancy," Brooke muttered. "They'll ask what car you drive." "Genesis G80. Aaliyah looked at her mom. Is that good?" "It's very good," Brooke said, wondering again exactly how much money this man had. "Okay, they'll ask about hobbies." Juwan paused. He couldn't exactly say his hobbies included securing shipments and managing protection rackets. "I like reading, strategy games, cooking." "You cook?" Aaliyah perked up. "What do you make?" "Korean food, mostly. My Uma at the orphanage taught me before she retired. She said a man who can't feed himself is helpless." "Can you make tteokbokki?" Aaliyah asked hopefully. "I can." "Can you make it for us sometime?" The question was innocent, but it implied a future beyond next Friday. Brooke saw Juwan's expression change, saw him realize the same thing. "Maybe," he said carefully, not wanting to promise something he couldn't deliver. Brooke should have corrected Aaliyah. I reminded her this was just 1 day. But she didn't. She let the moment pass. "Last question," Aaliyah said. "They're gonna ask what your favorite thing about me is." "That's easy," Juwan said without hesitation. "Your courage. You're the bravest person I've ever met. Really, really. You ask for what you want. You're not afraid to talk to people. You try new things. That's special, Aaliyah." Aaliyah looked down, embarrassed but pleased. "Thanks, Mr. Juwan." "You can call me Juwan if you want. Or, if it feels right, you can call me something else. Whatever makes you comfortable." Aaliyah thought about it. "What about Daddy Ju?" The words hit Juwan harder than he expected. He'd prepared for this, knew it was coming, but hearing it still felt like a punch to the chest. "Daddy Ju works," he managed. "Okay, Daddy Ju." Aaliyah tested it out, grinning. "That sounds nice." Brooke watched Juwan's face, saw something crack in his careful armor. This man was getting attached, and that was dangerous for everyone involved. But it was too late to stop it now. That night, Juwan sat in his office at home, staring at the Father's Day invitation. Minseo had called 3 times trying to talk him out of going. His accountant needed signatures. A shipment was delayed and needed his attention. His whole world was moving forward, and here he was, planning to spend Friday at a children's event. He should cancel, make up an excuse, disappear like he'd promised to do after the event anyway. But he kept seeing Aaliyah's face when she called him Daddy Jew, kept hearing her laugh, kept thinking about how for the first time in his adult life, someone needed him for something good. His phone rang, unknown number. He almost didn't answer, but something made him pick up. Kwon Juwan. His voice was all business, heavy breathing on the other end. Then, cute kid you've got. Juwan went very still. Who is this? Someone who's been watching. She looks happy. Would be a shame if something changed that. The line went dead. Juwan stared at his phone, ice flooding his veins. Someone knew about Aaliyah. Someone was watching. This was exactly what he'd feared, what he'd been too selfish to properly consider. His world had just touched Aaliyah's, and now she was in danger. He called Minseo immediately. I need security on Brooke Jones and her daughter. Now. Full detail, but they can't know they're being watched. Boss, what happened? Someone called. Someone's watching them. Juwan was already pulling up his security feeds, checking his systems. Get our best people. I want eyes on them 24 hours. This is why I said this was a bad idea. I don't need I told you so. I need them protected. Can you do that? Or do I need to find someone who can? I'll handle it. Boss, are you going to tell the mother? Juwan thought about Brooke, about how she'd trusted him despite her better judgment, about how he'd promised her they'd be safe. Not yet. Not until I know more. Just keep them safe. He hung up and immediately started making other calls. He had enemies. That was part of his life. But most of them wouldn't go after a child. Most of them had lines they wouldn't cross, which meant this was either someone new or someone desperate. Either way, they'd just made a fatal mistake, because Juwan protected what was his, and somehow, without meaning to, Aaliyah and Brooke had become his to protect. Friday morning arrived too fast. Brooke woke up with her stomach in knots. Today was the day, the Father's Day celebration, the day her daughter had been dreaming about for weeks, the day a stranger was going to pretend to be Aaliyah's father. Nothing about this felt normal. Mommy, help me with my dress, Aaliyah called from her room. They'd bought a new dress for the occasion, spending money Brooke really didn't have but couldn't refuse. It was purple, Aaliyah's favorite color, with a full skirt that twirled when she spun. Brooke helped her into it, brushed out her hair, and styled it into 2 puff balls with purple ribbons. You look beautiful. Oh, baby. Do I look like I have a dad? Aaliyah asked, studying herself in the mirror. The question broke Brooke's heart into pieces. You look perfect. And Aaliyah, remember, this is just pretend. I know, Mommy. Just for today. I remember. But the way she said it told Brooke that her daughter was already forgetting the pretend part, already making this real in her heart. They met Juwan outside the school at 9. He showed up in dark slacks and a light blue shirt, holding a single purple flower. For you, he said, handing it to Aaliyah. To match your dress. Aaliyah took it like he'd given her a treasure. You remembered my favorite color. I pay attention. Other families were arriving, dads in various levels of dress, kids excited and bouncing. A few people looked over at them, curiosity plain on their faces. The wealthy Korean man with the black woman and mixed child made quite a picture. You ready? Brooke asked Juwan quietly. As I'll ever be. They walked into the school together. Aaliyah grabbed Juwan's hand without hesitation. He looked down at her small hand in his, and something shifted in his expression. Softer. Vulnerable. Brooke's phone buzzed. A text from her friend, Rachel. "Girl, is that man what I think he is? You've been holding out on me." Brooke typed back quickly. "It's complicated. Tell you later." The event was held in the school gymnasium, decorated with banners and balloons. Tables were set up along the sides with snacks and drinks. In the center was space for activities and games. Miss Sarah greeted them at the door. "Aaliyah, you look wonderful, and you must be her father." "Juwan," he said, shaking her hand. "Well, nice to meet you. We're so glad you could make it. Aaliyah's been talking about you all week." They found seats, and immediately other parents started looking over. Brooke recognized some of them from previous events, saw their surprise, saw them whispering. Then Jenny's father walked over. Mr. Pak, a man who wore his wealth like armor and treated anyone he saw as beneath him with casual contempt. "Mr. Kwan," he said, his whole demeanor changing. "I didn't know you had a daughter at this school." Juwan stood, suddenly all business. "Mr. Pak, yes, Aaliyah attends here. I'm surprised we haven't met at any of the parent events before. I keep my personal life private." Of course. Mr. Pak looked at Brooke like he was seeing her for the first time. "Your wife is—" "Brooke," Juwan said smoothly, so not confirming or denying the wife assumption. "This is Brooke." Suddenly Brooke was visible. Mr. Pak actually bowed slightly to her. Other parents who'd ignored her before were looking over with new interest. "Mommy, why is everyone being nice now?" Aaliyah whispered. "Because Daddy Ju is important," Brooke whispered back, using the name without thinking. The activities started. First was a relay race, fathers and daughters running together with a balloon between them. Juwan crouched down to Aaliyah's level. "Okay, strategy. We keep the balloon steady, move at your pace, and we'll be fine. Don't you want to win?" "I want us to have fun. That's winning." They didn't come in first, but they didn't come in last either. Aaliyah was laughing so hard by the end, she could barely breathe. That was worth more than any trophy. Next was the beanbag toss. Juwan had surprisingly good aim. Aaliyah missed more than she made, but Juwan high-fived her after every throw, success or not. "You're really good at this dad stuff," a voice said. Brooke turned to see another mother, a kind-faced Korean woman named Mrs. Choi, whose son was in Aaliyah's class. "It's his first time at one of these events," Brooke said. "Well, he's a natural. Look at Aaliyah's face. I haven't seen her smile like that before." Brooke looked. Aaliyah was radiant, glowing with happiness. And Juwan, this serious man who probably ran a criminal empire for all Brooke knew, was smiling down at her daughter like she'd hung the moon. The dance came after lunch. Fathers and daughters paired up. Music started playing, something slow and sweet. Juwan held out his hand to Aaliyah. "So may I have this dance?" Aaliyah put her small hand in his. He led her to the dance floor, knelt down so they were closer to the same height, and they swayed together. Brooke watched from the sidelines, her phone out recording because she knew Aaliyah would want to remember this. Through the screen, she saw her daughter's face. Pure joy. No sadness, no feeling left out, no wondering why she didn't have what other kids had. For these few minutes, she had exactly what everyone else had. A dad who showed up. A dad who danced with her. A dad who made her feel special. The song ended. Juwan hugged Aaliyah, and she hugged him back so tight. "Thank you, Daddy Ju," she said, loud enough for Brooke to hear. "Thank you for asking me," he replied. And Brooke realized with sudden, terrible clarity that this wasn't just pretend anymore. Not for Aaliyah, not for Juwan, maybe not even for her. After the dance, Principal Kim took the microphone. "I want to thank all our wonderful fathers for being here today, especially our special guest, Mr. Juwan, whose generosity continues to support our school." Applause broke out. Juwan stood awkwardly, nodding in acknowledgement. Aaliyah clapped harder than anyone, proud of her pretend father. The event wound down around 2. Parents and kids filtered out slowly, tired and happy. Aaliyah held both Juwan and Brooke's hands, swinging between them. "This was the best day ever," she announced. "Better than my birthday, better than Christmas, better than everything." "I'm glad you had fun," Juwan said. They reached the parking lot. This was it. The moment where Juwan would say goodbye and disappear from their lives, like they'd agreed. Aaliyah seemed to realize it too. Her smile faded. "So, I guess this is it," she said, trying to sound mature, but her voice wavered. Juwan knelt down to her level. "Aaliyah!" "It's okay. You don't have to say anything. We made a deal. One day. I got my one day." Tears were forming in her eyes. "Thank you for being my dad today, even if it was just pretend." Juwan looked up at Brooke, something desperate in his eyes, like he was asking permission for something he couldn't say out loud. Brooke should have held firm, should have reminded him of their agreement, should have protected her daughter's heart from more hurt. But she couldn't, because her own heart was involved now too. "What if it wasn't just one day?" Juwan said quietly. Aaliyah's head snapped up. "What? What if, maybe, we could do this again? Not every day. I have work, and you have school. But sometimes. Would you like that? Really? You mean it?" "I mean it." Aaliyah launched herself at him, hugging him so hard Juwan almost fell over. He caught himself, wrapping his arms around this little girl who'd somehow become important to him in just 2 weeks. Over Aaliyah's head, his eyes met Brooke's. She saw the question there. Saw him asking if this was okay. She should say no. Should end this now before it got more complicated. Instead, she found herself nodding. Just slightly. Because watching her daughter this happy was worth the risk. Even if the risk was falling for a man who lived in shadows and carried secrets heavier than she could imagine. Even if the risk was letting Aaliyah's heart get broken when this inevitably fell apart. For now, just for now, they could have this. They could pretend just a little longer. What none of them knew was that across the parking lot, someone was taking pictures. Lots of pictures. The happy fake family, smiling and hugging and looking for all the world like they belonged together. The pictures were sent immediately to a secure server, then to a private phone. The phone belonged to a man sitting in a dark office, a man with scars and patience and plans. Min Seok-jin looked at the photos and smiled. "So the great Juwan has a heart after all," he said to the empty room. "How wonderfully inconvenient for him." He pulled up another screen showing Juwan's known businesses, his territories, his weaknesses. Before today, Juwan had none. Before today, he was untouchable. But now he had a little girl who called him daddy, a woman who looked at him like he might be good, a fake family that looked real enough to matter. And that meant Seok-jin finally had his leverage. "Enjoy your happy day," he said, looking at the photo of Aaliyah hugging Juwan. "Because very soon, you're going to have to choose between your empire and that smile." He set his plan in motion with 3 phone calls. By Monday, everything would change. But for now, on this Friday afternoon, Brooke and Aaliyah and Juwan walked to get ice cream, celebrating a successful Father's Day event. Aaliyah chattered about every detail, reliving every moment. Juwan listened and responded and seemed more relaxed than Brooke had ever seen him. And Brooke let herself believe, just for an hour, that maybe this could work. Maybe this complicated, messy, unconventional arrangement could actually be something real. The ice cream shop was the same one they'd visited before. Aaliyah got chocolate again. Juwan surprised everyone by getting chocolate too instead of vanilla. "Living more," he explained when Aaliyah laughed. They sat outside in the spring sunshine, a normal family having a normal afternoon, except nothing about them was normal. "Can we do something next weekend too?" Aaliyah asked, chocolate on her nose. "Aaliyah," Brooke warned. "What?" He said it wasn't just one day anymore. "I know, but Daddy Ju is busy." "I can make time," Juwan interrupted. "What did you have in mind? Can we go to the aquarium?" "No, I've been wanting to go forever, but tickets are expensive, and Mommy always says maybe later." Brooke felt embarrassed heat flood her face. "Aaliyah, you can't just—" "I'd love to go to the aquarium," Juwan said. "Next Saturday work for you?" "Yes." Aaliyah bounced in her seat. "Then it's a date." A date. The word hung in the air. Juwan seemed to realize what he'd said and looked at Brooke, checking to see if he'd overstepped. Brooke should set boundaries, should slow this down, should protect them all from the inevitable crash. "Next Saturday sounds good," she heard herself say instead. Aaliyah cheered. Juwan smiled. And Brooke wondered what she was doing, letting this man into their lives, letting her daughter get attached, letting her own feelings get complicated. But the damage was done. The walls were down. There was no going back now. They just didn't know how high the price of that decision would be, or how soon they'd have to pay it. The week after the Father's Day event felt different. Aaliyah walked into school on Monday with her head high, smiling at everyone. When Jenny made a comment about her lunch looking weird, Aaliyah just shrugged. "My dad says different doesn't mean bad. It just means interesting." Jenny had nothing to say to that. At home, Aaliyah talked about Juwan constantly. "Daddy Ju said this. Daddy Ju thinks that. Daddy Ju is taking us to the aquarium." Brooke listened and worried. Her daughter was getting too attached too fast. But how could she stop it when she was doing the same thing? Juwan had started texting, not just about plans, but random things. A funny sign he saw that Aaliyah would like. An article about teaching kids math. A photo of food he cooked with the message, "Next time I'll make enough for 3." Brooke found herself checking her phone too often, smiling at messages from a man she barely knew, but somehow felt like she'd known forever. Wednesday evening, her phone rang. Juwan's name on the screen made her heart do something stupid. "Hello? Hey, is this a good time?" His voice sounded tired. "Yeah, Aaliyah's doing homework. Everything okay?" "Fine. Just long day." Wanted to hear a friendly voice. Brooke sat down, surprised. "You called me for that? Is that weird?" "A little. We barely know each other. Feels like I know you better than people I've worked with for years." He paused. "Sorry. That probably sounds strange." "No, I get it." And she did. Somehow this rushed, an unusual relationship felt more real than anything she'd had in years. "You want to talk about your long day?" So he did. He talked around the details, keeping things vague, but she could tell he dealt with difficult people and complicated problems. She told him about her students at the academy, the one who only wanted to learn English curse words, the grandmother who brought her homemade kimchi every week. They talked for an hour. When they finally hung up, Brooke realized she'd been smiling the whole time. Aaliyah poked her head around the corner. "Was that Daddy Ju?" "Just Juwan, baby. And yes, you look happy when you talk to him." "Do I?" "Yeah. You should look happy more, Mommy. You're pretty when you smile." Brooke pulled her daughter into a hug, blinking back sudden tears. When had her baby become so observant? A Saturday came fast. The aquarium trip was everything Aaliyah had dreamed of. She pressed her face against every glass tank, pointing out fish and reading facts from the information plaques. "Did you know octopuses have 3 hearts?" she informed them seriously. I did not know that, Juwan said, equally serious. And they're really smart. They can solve puzzles and escape from tanks and everything. Sounds like someone else I know. Aaliyah beamed at the comparison. They stopped at the touch tank, where you could pet small sharks and rays. Aaliyah was nervous at first, but Juwan went first, showing her it was safe. Soon she was giggling as the rays glided under her fingers. Brooke took pictures, capturing every moment. Juwan caught her looking at him and raised an eyebrow. What? Nothing. Just, you're good with her. Unnatural. I'm faking it mostly, making it up as I go. That's all any parent does. The word parent hung between them. That's what he was becoming, wasn't he? Not biologically, not legally, but in all the ways that mattered. He showed up. He cared. He tried. At the gift shop, Aaliyah found a stuffed octopus and held it longingly. Can I get this? I'll use my allowance. How much allowance do you have saved? Brooke asked, already knowing the answer. 3,001. The octopus cost 15,000. Aaliyah's face fell as she put it back. Juwan picked it up. Early birthday present. My birthday's not for 5 months. Then I'm very early. Juwan, no, Brooke started, but he was already at the register. It's a stuffed animal, not a car. Let me do this. Aaliyah hugged the octopus the whole way home, naming it Hyun, which meant ocean kindness. She made Juwan promise to meet Hyun properly. Hyun, this is Daddy Ju. Daddy Ju, this is Hyun. She has 3 hearts just like real octopuses. Nice to meet you, Hyun, Juwan said solemnly, shaking the octopus's tentacle. Aaliyah dissolved into giggles. They grabbed dinner at a small restaurant near Brooke's apartment. Nothing fancy, just kimbap and tteokbokki and too much food. Aaliyah told jokes she'd learned at school, most of them not very funny, but they laughed anyway. For a few hours, they were just normal. A family sharing a meal, enjoying each other's company. No pretending, no complications. When they walked back to the apartment, Aaliyah between them holding both their hands, Brooke let herself imagine this was permanent, that this wasn't going to end in heartbreak. At the apartment door, Aaliyah hugged Juwan goodnight. Thank you for today. Best day ever. Again. You keep saying that. Because you keep making them happen. After Aaliyah went inside to get ready for bed, Brooke and Juwan stood in the hallway. The space felt too small and too big at the same time. She's getting really attached, Brooke said quietly. I know. If you're going to disappear, do it now, before it hurts worse. Juwan looked at her for a long moment. What if I don't want to disappear? Then what do you want? Honestly, I don't know. This wasn't supposed to happen. I was supposed to show up for one day and leave. But you both, you've gotten under my skin somehow. We're not a cure for whatever you're running from, Juwan. I know that too. He stepped closer. But maybe you're the reason to stop running. Brooke's breath caught. He was too close, looking at her like she mattered, like she was something precious. This is complicated, she whispered. Everything worth having is. He left before she could respond, before she could make a decision she wasn't ready for. Brooke stood in the hallway for a long time, her heart racing, her mind spinning. Inside, Aaliyah was already in bed, hugging Hyun. Mommy, do you like Daddy Ju? Of course I like him, baby. No, I mean, like him. The way people do in movies. Brooke sat on the edge of the bed. Would that bother you if I did? No way. That would be amazing. Then he could be my real dad, and we could be a real family, and everything would be perfect. Nothing was ever perfect, Brooke wanted to say. Life didn't work like that. But looking at her daughter's hopeful face, she didn't have the heart to crush the dream. Let's just take things one day at a time, okay? Okay, Mommy, Aaliyah yawned. But I'm praying every night that he stays, just so you know. Brooke kissed her forehead. Sweet dreams, baby. That night, Brooke couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Juwan's words, his expression, the way her heart had responded. She also kept thinking about the things he didn't say, the vague answers about his work, the expensive car and clothes, and the ability to donate millions to schools, the way he sometimes looked over his shoulder like he expected trouble. Who was Kwon Juwan really? And was she making a huge mistake letting him into their lives? Her phone buzzed. A text from Juwan. Thank you for today. I haven't felt this normal in years. I'd sleep well. Before she could overthink it, she typed back. Thank you for making my daughter so happy. And for making me smile again. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally. This thing between us, whatever it is, I know it's fast and strange, but it's real for me. Just wanted you to know. Brooke stared at the message for a long time before responding. It's real for me, too. That's what scares me. She fell asleep with her phone in her hand, not knowing that across the city, wheels were already in motion that would shatter their fragile peace. Min Seok-jin sat in his office, looking at surveillance photos spread across his desk. Juwan and the woman and the child, at the aquarium, at restaurants, at parks, looking happy, looking vulnerable. How long have they been together? He asked his lieutenant. About 3 weeks. The kid's not biologically his from what we can tell, but he's acting like she is. Interesting. Juwan playing house. Seok-jin tapped one photo, the one of Juwan kneeling down to Aaliyah's level, smiling. I've known him 15 years. Never seen him smile like that. So what's the play? We make him choose, his territory or his family, his empire or that little girl's safety. Seok-jin leaned back. Start with a warning, something subtle. Let him know we're watching. Let him sweat a little. And if he doesn't cooperate? Seok-jin's smile turned cold. Then we stop being subtle. Monday afternoon, Brooke came home from work to find her apartment door slightly open. She definitely locked it that morning. Definitely. Her first thought was, Aaliyah. But her daughter was safe at after-school program until 5. Still, Brooke's hands shook as she pushed the door open wider. Nothing looked disturbed at first glance. TV still there, her laptop on the table. But something felt wrong. The air felt different, like someone had been inside. She walked through slowly, checking rooms. Everything seemed normal until she got to Aaliyah's bedroom. The family photo from the Father's Day event, the one Aaliyah had framed and put on her nightstand, had been moved. It sat in the middle of her bed now, and someone had drawn on it a red X over Juwan's face. Brooke's blood turned to ice. She grabbed the photo with shaking hands and saw the note underneath. Tell your boyfriend to answer his phone. Time's running out. She called Juwan immediately. He answered on the first ring. Brooke? What's wrong? Someone was in my apartment. They left a message about you. Silence. Then, don't touch anything. I'm coming now. Are you safe? Where's Aaliyah? Still at school. I'm alone. Juwan, what's happening? Lock the door. Don't let anyone in except me. I'll explain everything when I get there. He hung up before she could respond. Brooke locked the door, checked the windows, grabbed a kitchen knife because she'd seen that in movies, and didn't know what else to do. 15 minutes later, someone knocked. She looked through the peephole and saw Juwan. She let him in, and he immediately checked every room, every closet, every possible hiding place. You're alone, he said finally. Good. Juwan, what is this? Who are these people? He looked at her, and she saw something in his face she hadn't seen before. Fear. Real, the genuine fear. I need to tell you something. And you're going to want me to leave. You're going to hate me. But I need you to listen first. Brooke sat down hard on her couch. Okay. I'm not just a businessman. I mean, I am, but not the legal kind. I run operations that exist in gray areas. Import, export, protection, information. I've spent 15 years building an empire that operates outside the law. You're a criminal. Her voice sounded hollow. Yes. You're in the Mafia or something. Something like that. And I have enemies. Dangerous ones. One of them just found out about you and Aaliyah. Brooke stood up, anger flooding through her shock. You brought criminals to my door? To my daughter? I didn't mean to. I hoped it would just be one day and no one would notice. But I kept coming back, and they saw, and now they know you matter to me. We don't matter to you. We barely know you. That's not true, and you know it. Juwan stepped closer. Brooke, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But right now we need to focus on keeping you safe. Safe? You're the danger. You need to leave. Now. Get out and never come back. I can't do that. Yes, you can. You walk out that door and forget we exist. If I do that, they'll still come for you. You're a loose end now. A witness who knows my face, my connection to illegal activities. My enemies won't just let you go. The reality of what he was saying hit her. So what? We're trapped now? We're in danger because my daughter asked you to play pretend dad? I'm going to fix this. I have people, resources. I can protect you. Like a criminal protects people? Oh, no, thank you. Brooke, please. Get out. Get out of my home right now. Aaliyah's voice came from the doorway. Daddy Jew? They both turned. Neither had heard her come in. She must have used her key. Her little face was confused, looking between the two adults. What's wrong? Why's Mommy yelling? Juwan knelt down. Hey, Aaliyah. Your mom and I are just having an adult conversation. It doesn't sound good. It's complicated, sweetheart. Aaliyah looked at Brooke. Mommy, are you making Daddy Jew leave? Baby, it's not that simple. You always do this. Whenever something good happens, you push it away. Tears filled Aaliyah's eyes. I finally have a dad, and you're making him go. Aaliyah, there are things you don't understand. I understand that you're scared. You're always scared. But Daddy Jew is nice, and he makes us happy, and I don't want him to leave. Brooke felt like her heart was being ripped in half. She looked at Juwan, saw his misery, saw him waiting for her decision. Everyone out, she said quietly. Aaliyah, go to your room. Juwan, wait in the hall. I need to think. Brooke, please, just give me a minute. Aaliyah stomped to her room. Juwan stepped into the hallway. Brooke closed the door and leaned against it, trying to breathe. Her daughter was in danger because of a man they'd known for 3 weeks, a criminal, someone who lived in a world of violence and gray morality, but also someone who'd shown up, who'd been kind, who'd made Aaliyah happier than Brooke had seen her in years. What was the right choice? Pushing him away might not even keep them safe now. But letting him stay meant accepting his protection, his world, his darkness. She opened the door. Juwan stood there, hands in his pockets, looking lost. If we do this, if I let you help, you tell me everything. No more secrets. I need to know what we're dealing with. Relief flooded his face. Okay. Yes. Anything. And the first thing you do is keep my daughter safe. I don't care what it costs or what you have to do. She doesn't get hurt. Ever. I swear it. Then start talking. Tell me everything. They sat at her kitchen table, and Juwan laid it out. His organization, his operations, his enemies. A rival named Min Seok-jin, who'd been trying to take his territory for months. The warning call he'd gotten earlier in the week. I already have people watching you, he admitted. Security I hired after the first threat. Yeah, you haven't noticed them, but they're there. People have been following us. Protecting you. There's a difference. Brooke wanted to be angry, but she was too scared. What do they want? Seok Jin wants me to give up my territory, my operations. He's using you as leverage. So give it to him. Give him whatever he wants. It's not that simple. If I show weakness, others will come. It never ends with one demand. Then what do? Juwan reached across the table, stopping just short of touching her hand. You stay close to me. Under my protection. I have a secure apartment, guards, everything you need. Until I can eliminate this threat, you're safest with me. You want us to move in with you? Temporarily, just until this is over. Aaliyah will think it means something. She'll think we're together. That this is permanent. Maybe after this is done, we can talk about making it permanent. Brooke pulled her hand back. You don't get to do that. You don't get to turn a crisis into a relationship negotiation. I'm not. I'm just saying, when the dust settles, I'd like the chance to see where this goes, really goes. First we survive, then we can talk about the rest. Over the next week, they settled into a strange new normal. Brooke and Aaliyah moved into Juwan's penthouse temporarily. Aaliyah thought it was an adventure, sleeping in a huge guest room, eating breakfast with a view of the whole city. She didn't know about the guards stationed throughout the building, didn't notice the armored car that took them to and from school, didn't see the way Juwan checked his phone constantly, monitoring threats. Brooke saw all of it. She also saw the way Juwan made pancakes for Aaliyah on Tuesday morning, the way he helped with homework, even though he came home exhausted every night, the way he tucked her in and read stories and tried so hard to be normal when nothing about their situation was normal. On Thursday night, after Aaliyah was asleep, Brooke found Juwan on the balcony staring at the city lights. You should be inside, safer. Your guards have this place locked down tighter than a prison. I needed air. He didn't argue, just moved over to make room for her. How much longer? She asked. I'm working on it. Seok Jin is being careful, staying hidden. But we're close to finding him. And then what? Then I end this. By killing him? Juwan was quiet for a long moment. That's usually how these things end. I don't want Aaliyah anywhere near that world. The world we're killing is how problems get solved. I know. That's why I'm going to walk away from it. Brooke turned to look at him. What? After this is done, I'm out. I'm going to transition my operations to people I trust, legitimize what I can, and step away. I can't be the man Aaliyah thinks I am while running a criminal empire. You'd do that for her? For both of you. For myself, too. I'm tired, Brooke. Tired of looking over my shoulder. Tired of being someone people fear instead of trust. Aaliyah asked me to be her dad, and I said yes. Dads don't run crime syndicates. They also don't usually meet their daughters by being propositioned in parking lots. Juwan laughed softly. No, we've done this whole thing backward. That's one way to put it. They stood in comfortable silence for a while, close, but not touching, both thinking about futures that might never happen if they didn't survive the present. Friday morning, everything changed. Brooke overslept. She woke up at 8:15, panicking because Aaliyah's school started at 8:30. Juwan had already left for an early meeting. The guards were doing a shift change. In the chaos of rushing, of trying to get Aaliyah fed and dressed, and out the door, no one noticed the van parked on the street below. No one saw the men waiting. They made it to school with 2 minutes to spare. Brooke walked Aaliyah to the gate like always, kissed her forehead like always, watched her run inside like always. Everything seemed normal. At 10:30, Brooke's phone rang. The school. Miss Jones? This is Principal Kim. Did you pick up Aaliyah early today? Brooke's blood went cold. No. Why? Where is she? She's not in class. Her teacher said a man came during break, said you'd sent him to get her for a family emergency. He had a note with your signature. I didn't send anyone. Oh, God. Oh, God, where's my daughter? She was already running for the door, grabbing her keys, her phone. She called Juwan while running down the stairs. Aaliyah's gone. Someone took her from school. They have her, Juwan. They have my baby. She heard him cursing, heard him shouting orders to someone. I'm coming to you now. Don't do anything. Don't go anywhere. Let me handle this. Handle it. They have my daughter. I know. And I'm going to get her back. I promise you, Brooke. I'm going to bring her home. Juwan's car screeched to a stop outside the penthouse 12 minutes later. He ran inside, grabbed Brooke, who was hysterical, held her tight. We'll find her. I swear to you, we'll find her. His phone buzzed. A video message from an unknown number. He opened it. Aaliyah appeared on screen, sitting in a chair, crying but unharmed. A man's voice spoke off camera. The great Quan Juwan, you've built quite the empire. Shame you have to give it all up now, unless you want the girl returned in pieces. You have 24 hours to transfer your territories, your accounts, everything. Come alone to the address I'm sending. Bring anyone else and she dies. Clock's ticking. The video ended. Brooke was sobbing into Juwan's chest. He held her with one arm while texting rapidly with the other. Minseo, and get everyone together. Now. Full mobilization. He looked down at Brooke, smoothed her hair back. Listen to me. I need you to stay here. Can you do that? I'm coming with you. No. She's my daughter. I'm not sitting here while someone else saves her. I'm coming. Juwan saw the determination in her eyes and knew arguing was useless. Okay, but you do exactly what I say. Exactly. Understood? Just bring her home. I will. Whatever it takes. The next 12 hours were the longest of Brooke's life. Juwan's team worked frantically, tracking the video source, following digital trails, calling in favors from people Brooke didn't want to know about. By midnight, they had an address, an abandoned warehouse near the port. Seok Jin was there, waiting. Juwan geared up like he was going to war. Vest, weapons, earpiece, for Brooke watched him transform from the man who made pancakes into someone cold and dangerous. The plan is simple, he told his team. I go in the front, make the exchange. You surround the building, stay out of sight. When I have Aaliyah, when she's clear, you move in. Boss, this is a trap, Minseo said. He's going to kill you the second you walk in. Probably. That's why you're going to make sure he doesn't get the chance. Juwan looked at Brooke. You stay in the car with 2 guards. No matter what you hear or see, you don't come out until I bring Aaliyah to you. Juwan? Promise me. She wanted to argue, but she nodded. Promise. They drove through Seoul's empty streets, a convoy of black cars. When they reached the warehouse, Juwan got out alone. Brooke watched him walk toward the building, shoulders back, head high. But he looked fearless. She wondered if he was terrified inside like she was. Inside the warehouse, Seok Jin waited with a dozen men. And there, tied to a chair in the middle of the space, was Aaliyah. She looked tiny and scared, but when she saw Juwan, her face lit up. Daddy Ju. I'm here, sweetheart. Everything's going to be okay. Seok Jin stepped out of the shadows. Touching. The big bad wolf, tamed by a child. I have what you want. Let her go. Show me first. Juwan pulled out a tablet, showing documents, account numbers, territory deeds. Everything Seok Jin had asked for. It's all there, take it. Just give me the girl. Seok Jin scrolled through, nodding appreciatively. You really do care about her. I wasn't sure if it was an act. It's not. Now let her go. See, here's my problem. Even without your empire, you're dangerous. You're smart, connected, ruthless when you need to be. If I let you walk out of here, Eventually you'll rebuild. Eventually you'll come for revenge. I'm leaving this life. You can have it all. I just want her." "I don't believe you." Seok-jin raised his gun, pointing it at Juwan. His men did the same. Aaliyah screamed, "No, don't hurt him!" Juwan didn't move. "Seok-jin, please, whatever you want, I'll give you anything. Just don't do this in front of her." "That's exactly why I'm doing it in front of her. So she learns what happens when people care about you in this business." Seok-jin's finger moved to the trigger. "They die." Outside, Brooke heard the gunshot and screamed. The guards tried to hold her back, but she was already running, sprinting toward the warehouse. Inside, chaos. Juwan had moved the second before Seok-jin fired, diving left, pulling his own weapon. His team crashed through the windows, through the doors. Gunfire erupted. Juwan's only thought was Aaliyah. He crawled through the firefight, reached her chair, started cutting her free. "Close your eyes, sweetheart. Don't look. Just hold on to me." She wrapped her arms around his neck, burying her face in his shoulder. He carried her through the warehouse, shielding her body with his own. A bullet hit his shoulder. He stumbled but kept moving. Another grazed his leg. He ignored it. All that mattered was getting Aaliyah out. He burst through the warehouse door, just as Brooke reached it. She saw him covered in blood, saw Aaliyah in his arms, and ran forward. "Mommy!" Aaliyah reached for her. Juwan transferred her to Brooke's arms. "Get her to the car. Now." Behind him, more gunfire. He turned back, limping, bleeding, but standing between Seok-jin's men and the two people he loved more than anything. The fight lasted another 10 minutes. When it was over, Seok-jin was in custody, his operation dismantled. Juwan sat on the ground, paramedics working on his injuries. Brooke appeared, Aaliyah safely in the car with guards. She knelt beside him. "You're bleeding." "I'm fine. You got shot twice. Still fine." "Aaliyah." "Scared but not hurt." "You saved her. I almost got her killed." "No, you brought her home." Brooke touched his face gently. "You kept your promise." Aaliyah called from the car. "Daddy Ju." He looked over, managed a smile and a wave. She waved back, clutching high on the octopus. "I meant what I said," Juwan told Brooke. "I'm out. After tonight. I'm done with this life. I'm holding you to that." "Good." The aftermath took months, police investigations, Seok-jin's trial, Juwan's cooperation in exchange for immunity, the systematic dismantling of his empire. Aaliyah had nightmares for weeks. She refused to sleep alone, refused to let Juwan or Brooke out of her sight. They took turns staying with her, reading stories, promising she was safe. Slowly, gradually, she healed. They all did. 6 months later, Brooke stood in a new apartment. Not Juwan's penthouse, not her old tiny place, but something in between. Something theirs. Juwan had started a legitimate security consulting business, using his skills and connections legally. It was doing well. He came home at regular hours. No blood, no late-night calls about shipments. Aaliyah burst through the door, went home from school. "Daddy, Mommy, guess what?" They both looked up. Daddy. Not Daddy Ju anymore. Just Daddy. It had happened gradually, naturally. "What, baby?" Brooke asked. "We're having another Father's Day thing at school next month. Can Daddy come? For real this time?" Juwan knelt down. "I'll be there. Wouldn't miss it. And it's not pretend anymore, right? You're really my dad now?" He looked at Brooke. They'd been talking about it for weeks. Adoption papers. Making it legal. Making it real. "Yes, sweetheart. I'm really your dad now." Aaliyah hugged him so tight. Over her head, Juwan met Brooke's eyes. They hadn't made their own relationship official yet. Taking things slow, making sure Aaliyah was stable, making sure they were building something that would last. But the love was there, growing stronger every day. Then that night, After Aaliyah was asleep, Juwan found Brooke on their small balcony. "You know what day it is?" he asked. "Thursday? 6 months since the warehouse. 6 months since I decided to leave my old life. Any regrets?" "Not even one." He stood beside her. "I gave up an empire. Know what I got instead?" "What?" "Everything that actually matters. A daughter who thinks I hung the moon. A woman who makes me want to be better. A chance at a normal life." He took her hand. "Turns out normal is pretty amazing. It's not always going to be easy. Nothing worth having is." They stood together, looking at Seoul's lights. The same city where a little girl had walked up to a stranger and asked for one day. One day that changed everything. In her room, Aaliyah slept peacefully, holding Hyun, while on her nightstand sat the family photo from that first Father's Day event. Beside it, a newer photo. The three of them at the beach last month, genuinely happy, genuinely together. And on her desk, homework. An essay question. What is a hero? Aaliyah's answer, written in careful handwriting. A hero is someone who changes their whole life for love. My daddy used to be scary to other people, but he became gentle for me and my mom. He says the bravest thing he ever did was say yes when I asked him to be my dad. But I think the bravest thing was choosing to stay. Heroes don't run away. They stay even when it's hard. That's what makes them heroes. Teacher's comment in red pen. Beautiful. Aaliyah. A plus. A year after that warehouse, Juwan stood in family court. This time, the judge asked Aaliyah directly, "Do you want Mr. Kwon to be your legal father?" "Yes, more than anything." "Can you tell me why?" "Because he showed up when I asked, and he stayed when things got hard. And he loves me and my mom. That's what dads do." The judge smiled. "Well said. Mr. Kwon, you're officially Aaliyah's father. Congratulations." The gavel came down. It was done. Official. Real. Outside the courthouse, Aaliyah held her new adoption certificate like it was made of gold. "I have a dad. A real dad. Forever." "Forever," Juwan agreed, his voice thick. Brooke took a photo of them, father and daughter, both grinning so wide. She posted it later with a simple caption. "Sometimes family finds you in the most unexpected ways." 6 months after that, Juwan proposed to Brooke. Nothing fancy, just the three of them at home. Aaliyah helped him pick the ring. "Marry me," he said simply. "Make this official." "It's already pretty official," Brooke pointed out. "Then make it permanent." "It's already permanent too." "Then marry me because I love you, and I can't imagine my life without you." That worked better. They got married in a small ceremony. Aaliyah was the flower girl, and the ring bearer and the maid of honor, all at once, because she insisted she had the most important job. During the ceremony, the officiant asked if anyone had objections. "Yeah, I do," Aaliyah said. Everyone froze. "What's wrong, baby?" Brooke asked. "Nothing's wrong. I just think they're taking too long. Can we get to the kissing part and then cake? I'm hungry." The entire room laughed. The ceremony continued. When Juwan kissed his new wife, Aaliyah cheered loudest of all. So at the reception, she gave a speech. "I asked Daddy Ju to be my pretend dad for one day. But he's been my real dad for way more than that. And now he's my mom's husband, which makes us a real family. So I guess I'm really good at picking dads. Thank you for listening. Can I have cake now?" More laughter. More love. More proof that sometimes the most broken roads lead to the most beautiful destinations. That night, Juwan tucked Aaliyah into bed in their new house. Bigger than the apartment, space for all of them. A real home. "Daddy," she said sleepily. "Yeah, sweetheart." "Remember when I asked you that day by your car?" "I remember." "Did you know you were going to stay? Or did you really think it was just one day?" Juwan thought about it. Honestly, I thought it was one day. I thought I could give you that and walk away clean. But you didn't. But I didn't. You know why? Why? Because when you called me Daddy Jew that first time, something in me that was broken started to heal. And I realized I didn't want to go back to being the person I was before. I wanted to be the person you thought I could be. Aaliyah smiled. I'm glad I picked you. I'm glad you picked me too. Best decision you ever made. Best decision you ever made was saying yes. You're absolutely right. He kissed her forehead. Sleep tight. Love you. Love you too, Daddy. He left her room and found Brooke waiting in the hallway. Is she asleep? Almost. She wanted to talk about the day she asked me. She brings it up a lot. It's her favorite story. The day she got a dad by being brave enough to ask. They walked to their own bedroom, this new space they were building together. Brooke sat on the bed, watching her husband, still amazed that this was her life now. Do you ever regret it? She asked. Giving up everything you had? Every single day. Her face fell. He smiled and sat beside her. I regret that I didn't meet you both sooner. That I wasted years on things that didn't matter. That Aaliyah had even one day where she felt less than perfect. He took her hand. But giving up my empire for this? For you two? That's the best trade I ever made. We're pretty great, Brooke agreed. The greatest. They sat in comfortable silence, two people who'd found each other in the strangest way possible and built something real from a foundation of pretend. Outside their window, Seoul hummed with life, the same city where a little girl had asked a stranger for one day, where that stranger had said yes and changed 3 lives forever. Some stories start with once upon a time. This one started with, "Excuse me, mister, are you married?" And it ended with happily ever after. If this story touched your heart, hit to be reminded sometimes that it's never too late to become who we're meant to be. That families come in all shapes and sizes. That sometimes one day really can change everything.